Hey everybody, it's Jason Blaha here. Now that my two obligatory informative videos are done for today, it's time to talk about current events in the online fitness community. So let me put on my +5 out of weaponsmithing, work on skilling up my crafting a little bit, and let's talk about this. Actually, lately I've had a few people say, Jason, you have this southern accent. Why do you have this fake accent now? I've listened to you for years. I've seen your old videos. Guys, I'm originally from Texas. I had been living in the United Kingdom for over a year when I started my original channel. I've been back in Texas for over 2 years. Now, I have lived in different places in the country, different places around the world, but I'm originally from Texas. And now that I've been back here for a while, my accent has kind of returned to an accent similar to people around me, people I encounter every day. That's perfectly normal. Just a side caveat, because that's been asked while we're talking about current events. But several people have asked me, and yes, I have seen Luimarco's video on this, that apparently Luimarco, with YouTube's new policy, which is a new system that they've put in place of semi-demonetizing videos based upon their new standards and new criteria, because they lost a lot of ad revenue last quarter. I believe it was $750 million. They've created a new labeling system that allows certain people, certain companies to say, hey, I don't want my ads to run on particularly controversial videos. So videos that they feel that they're not going to ban outright will have limited monetization. Now, does that mean that they're not going to have any monetization at all? No. And I'll get to that in a minute. But they hit Luimarco pretty hard. A lot of his drama, a lot of his current events videos, a lot of his stuff about synthol, a lot of his stuff about steroids got put into this category. Now, historically, different people get hit differently, and a lot of it has to do with what sort of hate you have, what sort of system people use to report you. Like, I know personally that if I put the words insulin, HGH, or synthol in the title of a video, that I absolutely will not be able to make a single penny on it. People say, what? And it won't be because of reports. I have learned that for my channel personally, other people might not find this to be true, that my channel, if I put any of those 3 words in a video title, YouTube will not even let me monetize it. Like, I upload videos, I set everything on them, annotate them, all of that stuff, then I make them public. Before the videos even go public and before they get a single view, if any of those keywords are in the title, my video will be unmonetized every single time, 100% of the time without fail. I know because I tried it like 10 different times to see how fast they unmonetized it. They usually unmonetized it within 30 seconds, every single time. So what I found personally is that I could take the same videos, change the title, and re-upload the same video with a different title that doesn't have those words in it, and they won't do the same thing to it. So for me personally, if any of those videos are in the title, those words, I know that my videos will automatically be unmonetized. Luimarco has a lot of videos up with synthol in the title, and he seems to be getting ads on them just fine. I know he has, and I always thought that was weird, that there is something arbitrary in place there. And what's also weird is that Luimarco has always been able to get away with that, and bam, he's been hit on tons of videos that everyone else makes videos on, stuff, the same keywords that everyone else uses that I use. I don't have problems. He got put into that category. Now, I wonder if it's because he doesn't have quite a few haters. Louis has haters. He has detractors. All of us have detractors and haters for one reason or another. He has his own reasons for having those. Maybe a set of his detractors ran a campaign and put a bunch, spammed all of those with reports. Those videos, historically, those reports add up. YouTube may be hitting with that. Now, I deal with the same thing, but like in my case, I was running into that for a little while. But because some friends of mine and fans and everything had gone and found on a forum a bunch of people explaining that they were making 10 and 15 different accounts to report every single video, I got copies of that, and I sent all of that to YouTube. And when I did that, I noticed that for me, I didn't have to do this as often myself, that I reported that to YouTube, let them know, hey, I've got a real problem here. There's a campaign being done to do this. And I noticed that when I was having problems with videos being unmonetized, that went away. That completely went away when I'd sent all that to YouTube and talked to them about it and reported the situation. That it seemed to have stopped it almost completely. And I'm not saying I don't occasionally get one unmonetized, but for me personally, when I reported that to YouTube, they started tracking it better, because technically they're supposed to be watching for stuff like that. And so if there's a bunch of reports in a short period of time that seem to come from the similar proxies. Even if someone's using a proxy or a different IP, they're supposed to catch that and realize that's abuse of the system. And technically, they're supposed to ban those accounts that are doing it. But when I did that, it helped. And my other channel gets hit harder than my main one. Usually, my political and firearm channel is more likely to get a video unmonetized. And I would say, honestly, for a while, it was like 1 in 6 or 7 of my videos on that channel was getting unmonetized, and I'd have to contest it, and they would usually remonetize it. On my fitness channel, I've noticed as long as I don't put certain words in the titles, I don't have those problems. In fact, I've done some relatively controversial videos here that never had those problems. And now that this new system is in place, what I noticed when Luimarco got hit, not a single one of my videos on my main channel, this one, got any of this problem. But my smaller channel, it did. And when I say they got hit, I don't know, I probably have, maybe 500 videos on my small channel. I would say probably between 40 and 50 of my videos got hit with this same thing. Now, it seemed to be completely arbitrary. But what I found is that when I went through and contested them, within 1 day, probably half of those videos got restored. Now, a lot of people are like, well, he's not making any money. No, you still make money on them. Like, I went back and checked, and even the ones there that have been still sitting in that system, when I've gone and watched them myself, they still have ads. When that's put into place, they still have ads if it's people, ad companies who are okay with their ads being in a controversial video. And you still get paid for YouTube Red. So I noticed they were still running ads, and all of those videos of mine, when I went to look, that are still in that category on that smaller channel, when I look at the money they've made versus the views that they've made for the days they've been in that category, it maybe cut the amount of money in half they were getting per 1,000 views. So it reduced the amount of money those ads are running or generating by about 50% on those videos. And at this point, after they've gone back and reviewed it, and when you go to contest it, it says that if the video doesn't get 1,000 views in 28 days, they won't review it. But that's not true. A bunch of mine that were little bitty 500 view videos, about 6 or 7 of those got restored to the normal place. And what was also interesting is that I had videos that had been unmonetized on that channel that are now fully monetized as a result of this new system. Because what it did, some of the videos of mine it unmonetized without me giving me the option to contest it. And normally they let you contest it, but when this new system rolled into place, they went into that new category. I contested the new category. They reviewed them manually and restored them to fully monetized videos. So actually, it's kind of balanced out in the end, meaning I've got certain videos remonetized that weren't monetized as a result of that. So it actually hasn't been a bad thing. It's their way of doing things. And if people have asked me, hey, have you been hit? Only on my small channel, and right now I would say there's approximately 20 to 25 videos on my smaller channel, that only has a few million views, maybe 20 to 25 videos that are sitting in that category in this main fitness channel. No, it's fine. It's fine. I haven't been hit on a single video with it, and I think part of that's because I've reported to YouTube several times proof that there is an actual campaign going by people to make large numbers of fake accounts to report my videos. So even videos that YouTube had previously pulled down of mine, they reviewed and they restored, removed mostly strikes. I've only had 1 strike that ever stuck on YouTube, and that was on my smaller channel. So they've actually been pretty fair with me. Why has Luimarco been hit so hard and singled out? I don't know, but what I would say is that it's probably not the end of Luimarco. I don't think it's every video on his channel. And I've noticed YouTube is pretty good so far if you can test it and ask for a manual review of that video for someone, which means someone comes in and watches it and says, okay, this isn't that bad, and they restore it to normal monetization. They've actually been pretty good about that. My success rate on that is about 50% so far. So if he just goes through and asks YouTube to review those videos and look at them, he'll probably be okay on most of them. Because honestly, the videos that he has up there, they don't really seem that controversial. They don't seem like they're a problem. It's usually because a large number of people have reported them. And so far in my experience, YouTube tends to be very, very fair about that with creators, particularly if you're getting a fair number of views. If it's a reasonably viewed video that has more than a few thousand views on it, they're very, very fast to review it and to restore it and get it back up there making money again. Because YouTube has a vested financial interest in that being done. And quite frankly, usually people who are getting hit hard, it's because they're technically putting up videos that violates YouTube's rules. I don't think that's the case with Luimarco. I think it's that people ran a new campaign against him, maybe who he hasn't been hit before hard with that, and so he doesn't know about it, hasn't talked to YouTube about it. And it's probably a temporary thing, and when their system catches up and realize that people hit him with a bunch of fake stuff, they've made a bunch of fake accounts, they'll restore everything for him. I have a feeling they'll do that because technically Luimarco, just like with what I do, really isn't against their rules as far as advertising goes. Because you just have to remember, controversy actually sells. Controversy actually is a good way to sell ad space into commercials and everything else. So I think he'll be okay. I think people are panicking, they're freaking out over nothing. It's just a change that YouTube is doing because they want to ensure that they keep their sponsors. And basically they did all this because there were legitimate hate groups. Like people will say, oh, this video is racist. No, it's not. They're talking about real racism. There were real people making videos calling out for violence, physical violence against people or hatred against people because of their skin color, whether they were black, white, otherwise. There was real racism, not this social justice warrior definition of racism. There was real racism happening on YouTube. There was the real deal, not racism light, not triggering. I'm talking the real deal was there. And there was also terrorism being promoted on YouTube. There were terrorist groups making videos on YouTube and putting them up. So that was what the big deal is about, and they're just trying to weed some of that out. And quite frankly, YouTube has been pretty fair with me overall. They've been pretty easy to deal with as far as this goes, and I think it's unfortunate that Luimarco has been hit that hard, but I think it's a mistake in the system, and it will probably get sorted out if he contacts them and he goes through the trouble to contest all of that. I think he'll be back to normal in no time. Alright guys, but that's really all I have to say on that today. I hope it's been informative, and I will talk to you guys next time.